Hello, welcome back to MCFC Connect. Today, we're talking about, of course, the last, 3 games from us, in the August month. It's probably going to be one of the shortest months of the season when it comes to games played. We're not going to be counting the Palermo game for the preseason, but we will, of course, just be looking at the Premier League games, as that was what we ended up playing. But big ups to everyone who's tuning in. Let's look at these games one by one and look at the positives as it was going through, and then overall we'll have a look at everything. So let's start over here between Man City and Wolves. Really the perfect start, wasn't it? It was such a brilliant start, and it was a game I don't really feel many people had doubts about. I was pretty confident that we were going to win this one at the time. I think a lot of people were very confident, and it showed. Wolves haven't been great this season, to say the least, and we were on it this game. To be fair, we got it absolutely bang on. Everyone put in a decent shift, and it was a very, very solid performance. I couldn't really complain all too much. It was a perfect debut for Reinders. Shirky coming on and giving a glimpse of what he can do, and Haaland, of course, scoring in typical fashion. Everything really went the way of us this game. It was a very, very good game. And like I said, really the perfect start. If I had to rate this game just by itself, you'd probably give it a 10 just because of how good it was. 4-0, it felt strong, it felt right. And, it put us top of the league. First game of the season, I know, but it put us top of the league. And it was a decent start in 11-2, and lots of players got minutes as well, which was all good. But again, it was the perfect start. Now then, though, stuff does not stay pretty forever. As we move on to Tottenham, a 2-0 loss in our first home game of the season. And despite not watching this game, it really did show the cracks a bit, what we're like. It showed that Trafford maybe not quite ready in terms of playing with the ball at his feet. Did show little cracks where that's concerned, and even when he came out of the box, he just never looked quite confident in the bits I did get to watch. Just never really looked too comfortable on the ball. And we got absolutely cooked on transitions. Our high line absolutely killed us at times. And, when you give quick plays, all these guys are rapid, and they were pressing us all the way, Tottenham. Kudus is a pressing machine. We knew that going into the game, and he was pressing us. Really, the whole midfield. This five here was absolutely pressing us beyond belief. With Jed Spence and Porro, of course, chipping in, and that's not to say Palhinha didn't do anything either. Palhinha did do his fair share, and then when called upon, the back four was also pretty sturdy, from what I could tell. Truth be told, we had some chances that we probably should have taken, but first game at home in the season, you need to start strong to really put confidence into your fans. And look, it didn't go that way. This fixture is always a weird one. It's Tottenham. Every City fan knows that Tottenham can just be a bit annoying when it comes to playing us. It's a 12:30 kickoff too, so two things that really weren't quite going our way. It really was a bit of an annoying one. But I mean, it's no excuse for the performance. Overall we just didn't play well. We may have had the bulk of the ball and whatnot, and the least fouls and everything like that. But end of the day, results what matters. We weren't clinical. Tottenham were. The first goal was pretty well made, and the second goal was a pouncing on a mistake by Trafford. So really can't pin it on anything else. Ike Nuri is very unfortunate for him to get injured, despite him playing the next game. Thankfully he was okay. But it does show that our defence is slow. We probably need a proper right back as well, and it really did show that Nico Gonzalez can't do that pivot by himself. And so for a first home game of the season, I think you've got to give it like a 2, because it was just really embarrassing, really. Losing your first home game, 2 home defeats in a row now to Tottenham, both not in a pretty fashion. Last year it was 4-0, this year 2-0. Thomas Frank, he must have been delighted. Brilliant game for his side, but absolutely horrendous from us. It was not great whatsoever. And now on to the latest one just a couple of days ago. Brighton 2-1, similar fashion to last season, same scoreline, and very much the game went in a similar way. We were absolutely brilliant in the first half here, but again, it just shows the lack of clinicality, but also the lack of want for another goal. Second half, we really didn't go for it, okay, because I'd like to mention, until about the 60th minute, we were on top in the second half as well, okay, we were very much controlling the game, but we just weren't really pushing for another goal, okay, we were quite fine with our 1-0. Brighton make the changes. They start to put us under a bit more pressure. Nunes produces a bozo moment like we know he's capable of. I like Mercedes Nunes and I think he's doing a decent job at right back, but we all know that he's very capable of a bozo moment. Milner converts, suddenly we're under pressure and we can't handle it. For me, this was a game I really realised a big issue with us. And that issue being that we can't handle quick changes of intensity. The moment Brighton got up for it, we couldn't handle it. Okay, Brighton were all over us. In the first half, Brighton only had 1 shot, 1 on target, and we had 7 shots, 3 on target. Second half, we didn't get any shots on target. We had 5 shots, and Brighton had 11 shots with 6 on target. Trafford in this game, unlike the previous game, was the only one really keeping us in it. He was playing absolutely brilliantly the whole way through, really. He was very, very good. And again, it just shows, we didn't take our chance in that first half, really. Haaland could have probably had a hat-trick, really. And we really did suffer for it in the second half. 3-0 at half-time, we're probably going to win the game. I say probably because I know what we can be like. Last season, Feyenoord. I don't need to say anymore. But this season against Brighton just felt very much like last year. The moment Brighton made the changes, brought fresh legs, we just couldn't cope with the change of the intensity. And we really did suffer. And it was a really, really poor start to the Premier League. We're now 13th. And with just 3 points, 1 win and 2 defeats, it's not great. It really isn't. Out of the big 6 teams, we're the lowest. Man United are above us. It's not a good look. It really, really isn't. It's not. And we need to get up here. We need to be up here with Tottenham, Arsenal, Chelsea, and Liverpool. Even Everton and Sunderland. Okay, we have to get up there. And it's not going to get easier, obviously, with Man United and Arsenal. Now then, as for a player of the month, if I had to pick one, it's not easy considering how this month went. Reinders was obviously brilliant in that game. No one was really great in this one. And this one I gave my man of the match was James Trafford. I'll probably edge it to Reinders, probably. Just because a big part of our defeat in this one was Trafford and that second goal. And in this one, he really didn't have much work to do. This one was the only one where Trafford really got to stand out. And which isn't a diss onto him, It's only, he can only save what's shot in at the end of the day. And if Wolves aren't shooting much, then he's not got a lot to do, which isn't his fault. But overall, these first 3 games, they weren't bad. These 2 were. First game was good, very, very good. It felt brilliant, it felt right. This game, awful the whole way through. First half of this one, brilliant, and second half, we just let it slip away. Bottle jobs just like last year. And again, it's not getting easier. These first 3 games are not easy whatsoever. Derby Day, Napoli, and then Arsenal at the Emirates. It doesn't get easier from here, so buckle up. Overall, if I had to give this month a rating, you're probably giving it like I said in a preview for the season with This Is City on his channel. Feel free to go check that out. I said that in this game, in these 3 games, we need to be winning 2 and drawing 1 at the very least. We won 1 and we lost 2, no draws. And so I really got to give this one a 3, to be honest. I'll give the month of August a 3 out of 10. I just thought it was really, really poor. It looks really, really worrying about what's ahead. Now then, in September, we could very well pull out all the stocks and we could absolutely be fine, you know. But I know the injuries, they worry me, you know. I'm very worried about the injuries, and there's more factors to play too, you know, the tactics and everything like that. But anyway, look, Blues, I hope you enjoyed this video. These month reviews are going to be quite short, but hopefully entertaining videos. Now then, if you have enjoyed this video, make sure to leave a like and subscribe and turn the notification bell. Now then, this setup is not permanent, I just want to say. I should already have a stream in the old room, and I'm going to be back in this room for the Blue Friday show. No, back in the normal room for the Blue Friday show. So again, Blues, make sure to like and subscribe, turn the notification bell if you did enjoy the video, and I'll see you all in the next one.